And welcome back, everybody, to the full roster of the TV show. Rhea Hughes is back, and Angelo Cataldi is here. We're going to applaud, but I was told before this podcast that to clear out the space because Angelo has some laundry to air.
No, all I want to say is this. In the course of this podcast, over the next 30 minutes or so, I am going to just go nuts with excitement about something that's going to be happening in TV. In fact, by the time you hear it, it will have happened. And I am angry. I am angry at Rhea. I am angry at Jay. I just finished yelling at my own son, and I'm going to berate the entire audience for this podcast for not listening to me. It's driving me insane. That's all I got. That's all I got.
I'm just going to assume, Angelo, you're talking about the fact that Secret Invasion, the new Marvel show, is premiering today, and I know what a Marvel head you are. So this is a big deal for you.
Oh, no.
Let's hop right into it. This is this is something that I could spend 5 hours talking to you guys about because one of the things that both of you are known for on the morning show, Angelo, you were an expert interviewer. You would bring on people and you'd get them to talk about stuff. And I don't know, guys, if you guys have seen it over the last 2 days. Brett Baier, who is a Fox News host, and you guys know my politics. I won't get into the political end of it. He brought on Donald Trump, and not since, I would say, Jonathan Swan on HBO several years ago has someone held Donald Trump's feet to the fire quite like this. I mean, even people who are different from him politically have been unable to pin him down and get him to wriggle like Brett Baier did. And it was a shock to everyone. There's news reports all over about this. Did you guys see the interview?
Yes.
And as interviewers, what did you think of it?
I'll just say I didn't see it because I don't watch any political shows. So I'll just make that very clear.
Very smart.
I avoid it like the plague.
And we learned that a long time. Early in the COVID thing, we realized politics was a thing. But let me just say, I did watch it, and I was extremely impressed by Brett Baier because he that's what an interviewer should always do. If somebody is saying something that they know to not be true, they need to challenge that individual. But normally they don't. And I'll explain to you why. Rhea knows this better than anyone because Rhea booked our show, books the show now to some degree. And if you get aggressive with somebody on the other line, not only are they never coming on your show again, other people who watch it will no longer want to come on to the show because they will realize that they're not going to be treated with kid gloves. Right? What happened on that interview doesn't happen often enough. The closest I can come to it, this is a crazy analogy, but we had Gabe Kapler on. He was the manager of the Phillies. It's probably the most famous interview that was done on our show. And Gabe Kapler came on the show, Jay, and he lied. He lied so blatantly that at one point I asked him if he realized the game was actually on television. Something happened. I won't get all the details, but basically one of the players didn't hustle and it caused a serious injury to another player on the team, right? And he came on to say that 1 + 1 did not equal 2. And we got into this huge fight. And he was angry after that. He said at the end of the interview, I'm angry at what has happened here. I'm angry at how you misrepresented me. And I didn't.
Right.
If you're an interviewer, you have one responsibility: to hold accountable the person you're interviewing, to make sure that what he's saying is factual. And if it is not factual, it is absolutely your obligation to hold him accountable and make him acknowledge either that he's lying or to then lie a second time to say he's not lying. Right. You got to do that. And Brett Baier did that fantastically.
Well, I want to get back to that idea of maintaining access, because that seems to be what's primarily on the mind of a lot of interviews that I see, especially with super high profile people that bring ratings to you. And, you don't want to get a reputation for doing puff pieces. You don't want to be Entertainment Weekly. But on the other hand, if you do push too hard and you get to that point where they go, I'm out, I'm never coming back, how do you split that difference and thread that needle where you're holding them accountable, but you're also putting them in a position where they're actually going to answer and come back to you to discuss, in the future, and not just make it a one and done deal? Like, what is the art there?
If I could say like how it worked on our show, whenever there was going to be a guest on who had, say, a tricky situation, something had happened, whatever, Angelo would always say to me, let them know that I'm going to ask them about it. They can choose not to answer. That's
Right.
their, that's whatever, if they want to do that. But I will ask the question. I will be respectful. We always had a thing with people. What I said to people, they used to get mad that we didn't scream at Joe Banner. We didn't scream at certain people when we would spend Howie Roseman every single day crushing them. And the thing is to maintain that access the way that Angelo did it was we were going to ask them all the questions, but we were going to do it civilly. There's a way to do it civilly. There's only 2 times where it got uncivil. And that was because one time it was an unscheduled guest. Angelo, I don't know if you remember, it was Larry Brown. Larry Brown got angry that you had criticized John Calipari. He put him on his staff after he got fired from the Nets. And we were crushing Calipari. And Larry called up as an unscheduled guest, and he and Angelo went at it. It turned into some of the greatest radio because at the end, Angelo said, well, why don't you just come in studio and bring John Calipari, which Larry Brown did.
Wow.
And they both came in. This is how great Angelo is. You saw their shoulders tense. Larry Brown, John Calipari walk in, and Angelo, all Mike looks at them and goes, my entire wardrobe does not cost what your 2 suits cost. They started laughing. It turned into great radio. There's a way to do it.
Yeah.
And, and Angelo had already referenced the Gabe Kapler one, but, you have to ask the questions. For the most part, it's done civilly. But if the interviewee turns aggressive or hostile, you can go right back at them.
That's a perfect tutorial. Rhea just said it perfectly. They have to know ahead of time. They're going to come on your show. You're not going to ignore the big story to kiss their ass.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something, Jay, the majority now will pretty much agree to do the interview and kiss ass and will not deal with the big issues. And that to me is why it was such a good interview on Fox, and it should be done way more often until people who agree to do interviews understand they're going to have to deal with the issues at hand.
I will say, just I don't know if I'm revealing too much about my parents' divorce, but if you've ever seen a couple that have had emotional abuse issues and one of them has gone through therapy, Brett Baier spoke like the one who had gone through therapy, where you just keep your voice very neutral.
Yes.
You don't let up. Like, if you've ever seen someone who's been through that kind of training where you're just like, well, I don't know if that's what you said. Did you say it that way? And like the other person gets incandescently full of rage.
Yes.
And it's just like, well, I know you're upset about that, but it was beautiful to see. And yes, I would like to see more of it. And Donald Trump, you're always welcome onto the TV show podcast, but only to talk about Secret Invasion. We don't want to.
And just real quick, Jay, one of the reasons I think why some interview people, people interview don't do it as much, it's also the audience because of social media. You'll see, when Jim Salisbury would really hardly question, when he got into that kind of back and forth with Castellanos last year, sometimes the audience doesn't like it. How dare you talk to him like that? And it's like, well, no, this is what my job is. So you're also dealing with a whole new generation that literally only wants the hero worship. So it's a problem.
Well, I think you do raise a very good point, Rhea, which is it used to be there were 3 choices for news: ABC, CBS, and NBC, and maybe PBS. And now you can choose whichever news fits your version of reality. Like, if you want to believe that the sub that's lost down in the Titanic right now is because of the deep state, I'm sure you can find a YouTube channel that is telling it right now. So anyway, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's available on YouTube, everywhere else. It's well worth checking out. Now, we were originally going to talk about The Flash here, but I wanted to go into British and Teen Corner because I think, Rhea, you said that the Flash, your son has a lot to talk about with The Flash, and we can move into there. So let's switch to the part of the show that everybody loves that we didn't get last week because Rhea was relaxing in Florida. Now she's back. What do you got for us this week, Rhea?
I picked this show to watch on the plane down, and I thought, I downloaded it literally while I was sitting in the airport. I said, this looks interesting. Dead Loch on Prime. It's an Australian show. Right. I have to tell you, I think it's the greatest show on TV right now. It is spectacular.
Dead Loch.
It deals with, it's called Dead Loch. DeadLoch. Okay. It's on Prime. Yes, I hear Angelo going up. It's on Prime. I'm through episode 6. The 7th episode does not drop until Friday. I cannot wait. It's basically a small town in Australia. A dead body washes up on the sea, naked, and it's a local man. 2 young women find him, immediately leading to a penis joke because one of the girls drops her cigarette on his penis. And I go, well, this is going to be an interesting show. Right. A very staid sergeant comes in, a woman, Dulcie Collins. Angelo, you'll know her. She is Lou Kelly in Wentworth.
Oh, is she really?
Yes.
I'll get to that in a minute. Keep going with the penis.
So she's the main one. She's very staid, quiet, calm. They bring in this other detective to help her out from the big city called Eddie Redcliffe. She's a woman. Her name's Eddie. This woman cannot get through a sentence without dropping like 10 F-bombs. Do not watch it with your kids. Here's what I will tell you. I found it to be, it's a dark, they call it a dark comedy murder mystery. The murder mystery part of it is fantastic. I still don't know who the murderer is, and I'm 6 episodes in. The satire of gender politics, lesbians, they make fun of it while making fun of themselves. They're playing lesbians in it, who are in it. The side characters are spectacular. Like sometimes when you're watching a show and they pivot to a side character, like, can we get back to the main people? No, I love the side characters. The pathologist in it, James, might be the most hated character in TV right now. He's such a jerk, but I cannot 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Here's the difference. That's by the critics. Audience only 64. And I went through and read some of them. The language by Eddie Redcliffe in there, the stuff that she says a man could not get away with. I mean, she is raw, outrageous. I mean, but I think the show was so well written, so witty. I think people will love it. The language is really strong. I will absolutely admit to that.
All right. I now need to speak. First of all, Rhea is 100% right about Dead Loch. It is really good. First scene, a severed penis on the beach with a cigarette on it. Are you watching yet, Jay? I think you're watching.
I'm in. Yeah.
They show you the credits. They come back. Intense lesbian sex scene.
Yes.
There's your first 2 scenes in it, right? Excellent. Well done.
I wrote it based on my wish diary.
Here's the problem. Here, and this is a frustration of mine now that is having me wonder if it's time to retire from this podcast too. Right? I have had one focus for the first 40 shows of this podcast. Yes. It is the best television program I have seen in a year, probably 5 years. It's called Wentworth, also Australian, on Netflix. Kate Box plays Dulcie Collins, the main character in Dead Loch.
Yeah.
She is great in this. She's even better as Lou Kelly in Wentworth because she leads this vicious faction of nasty women who are killing people. It's an amazing show. She's great in it. Pamela Rabe is in this as Margaret Carruthers. Yeah. Pamela Rabe, in all the years I watched TV, which is 60 plus years, there has never been a more evil character than the character Pamela Rabe plays in Wentworth, Joan Ferguson. Rhea is right. Dead Loch is a terrific show. It is about a third as good as Wentworth, which no one will watch. Jay, you did not. I staked my reputation on it. Did you watch 1 second of it?
I've not watched Wentworth. No, I
Rhea,
cannot.
You are our British expert. We include Australia in that. Did you watch it?
I've told you before, I don't like to watch prison shows because I'm deathly afraid that somehow being associated with you, I will wind up in prison. So I'm afraid. But I'll tell
All
you
I
this,
could
Ange.
say, yeah.
I will watch
Please.
the first season this weekend. I'm off
Please.
Friday. I will watch
Please,
it.
Rhea, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
Wentworth is the undiscovered gem of the past decade in world television, because these great characters from Dead Loch are even greater characters in Wentworth. And I just said to my son, I'm taking him out of the will. Wentworth. Because this show, it's all I can keep telling you is, Rhea's right. This is a great selection for British thing, but Wentworth is so spectacular. If you start it, it's 8 seasons of great television.
So I'm going to say this. Our biggest fan is a woman named Louise Bonacourt. She is my wife's aunt, and she is a huge Angelo Cataldi fan. She loves you, and she was like, where am I going to get more Angelo? I said, you got to listen to the podcast. Angelo, she learned podcasting for you so she could listen to this show.
Wow.
I am going to go watch.
He hasn't watched it either.
Well, listen, I don't know if
no one has watched it.
I don't know if she knows how to access Netflix. I'm going to go to her house this weekend. Louise, I know you're listening. I'm coming over with my wife, and we are watching Wentworth together.
Right.
So that, Angelo, we can talk about it next week.
But Rhea's right about Dead Loch. She's right about all these British shows. They're really good.
Jay, you will love this show. I mean, it's so smartly funny. You'll be able to get past. Once you get to the second episode, the cursing that Eddie does just kind of rolls off.
Well, I gotta be honest with you, they had me at the penis.
I just got a call. They want to use that as a pull quote, Angelo. Angelo Cataldi raves. They had me at the
quote, all right.
All right, so let's go to Teen Corner, because this rolls into another topic we were going to talk about. Did you see it with Clark, Rhea, or is this a Clark review?
Yeah, no, so this is actually even funnier. I got your email that we were going to discuss The Flash, that it didn't do well. So I called him yesterday. He's down the shore, he's on vacation, summer break. And I said, hey, didn't say anything about us talking about it on the show. I said, hey, do you want to go see the movie Flash? And there was a pause. If I asked Clark to go to the movies, he doesn't care. He's like running for the door. He goes, I don't know why. Do you want to see it? And I said, well, you love The Flash. He goes, no, I love the Flash TV show with Gustin Grant, who started it for 9 seasons. Loves him. He was in Rescued by Ruby. I think he's a terrific actor. Clark said, he goes, Ezra Miller, do you know all the bad stuff he's done? I mean, that was the first thing out of his mouth. Obviously, Ezra Miller's got a lot of controversies with all kinds of stuff. But he also said he heard the CGI really sucked. So he has really no interest, but I think it has mostly to do with that he loved Grant Gustin in the TV show, and he had already heard all these bad things about Ezra Miller.
Well, just to set this up, the movie The Flash dropped this weekend. It's a movie that this particular version of the movie has been in the works since 2014. But the movie itself has been in the works since the 80s. And it cost $230 million.
Wow.
That is the number that David Zaslav's WB is giving to the public. So add probably $180 million on top of that with other issues. It probably cost somewhere between $350 and $400 million when you include all of the marketing that they had to do. It debuted in America this weekend at $70 million for the week, not for the weekend. The weekend was $58 million. It was originally supposed to make $8 million on Monday, which was Juneteenth, which is a holiday in most places. They had to revise it down from $8 million to $5.5 million because fewer people went to see it than they thought. It is the first real unmitigated disaster of the current comic book world that we're living in. And I was asking you guys, the email that I sent out was this: Ezra Miller is all over the news. He was choking women. He had like a weird sex cult thing going on where, he had a mother and a daughter living with him. I'll link to the People article that's in there, but it's a very weird situation. And my question was, how much did you guys think it affected the box office? And it seems like you're saying, Rhea, if your son knows about it, it's got to be affecting it. Yeah.
he's almost 14 years old. And I said, you know about this stuff? And he goes, yeah, Mom, I have the internet. I'm like, okay, I should probably put some parental controls on it.
Yeah.
But the Ezra Miller thing, he was already unhappy that he had replaced Grant Gustin. Then once he heard about the other stuff, I don't know if he wants to go see it. I mean, I just got the impression that he was like, nah, I'm good.
So, Andrew, does that bother you? Do you care if the person involved is a jerk?
But it's interesting with the way you pose this question. I realized that Roman Polanski, not in front of the camera. So I've kind of been able to not, I've still been able to watch his work after what happened with the rape allegations and the conviction. Bryan Singer, the same thing. But if you're in front of the camera, and I know you got this passed, I completely shut you down. I haven't watched that thing. I stopped watching. What was the show with Kevin Spacey? Netflix.
House of Cards.
House of Cards. Yeah.
House of Cards. I stopped watching it because the controversy came out during that show, and I love that show. I wouldn't watch it. Bill Cosby is officially dead to me. Do you understand? If his face comes up on the screen, I will turn the station. He's a predator. If Sean Penn, I just always hated him.
You hate him. You've always hated him.
Always hated him, but then he got involved with trying to stick his politics down my throat. No. And here are two new entries, two big ones, because these two men are appalling to me as human beings based on what I've seen this year. I will no longer watch any of the work done by Al Pacino or Robert De Niro, who Pacino is 83 and De Niro's about to turn 80, and they just had kids.
Yeah.
And it's so creepy.
What you are doing, you egomaniac, is basically taking into the world a child who will not have a father. Yeah. How dare you? I don't want, it's not like they've been doing a lot of great work lately anyway. Yeah. But Pacino and De Niro, I'm done with, because these people are not people I can relate to. That is selfish and outrageous that they did that, and I don't need them.
Let me ask you this. Now that involves new work, but if Raging Bull or Goodfellas or Godfather 2 pops up,
right?
You watching? Because I feel like I'm watching.
I'm not watching because I'll just put Wentworth on. It's better.
You know who it impacted me for a while, and he didn't, do anything criminally wrong, but for a long time I had a tough time watching Tom Cruise. The whole episode when he got together with Katie Holmes and he's jumping on the couch and the whole Scientology thing, I was really turned off by it, and I like him as an actor.
Yeah.
I didn't like Top Gun, but that was just a whole nother issue. But he is a good actor, but for a while there, just his whole weird personal life turned me off.
Yeah. That's a good example.
When your entire job is based on being relatable and likable, the moment you step out of the world of relatable and likable, it makes it difficult to go back there. So I'd agree with you on that. All right, Angelo, what do you got for us this week?
All right, I've had a lot of things in the mix right now. One new one that I previewed last week, Black Mirror, season 6, Netflix. Yes. They hit a home run with their first episode. And here's how they did it. For me personally, I love Annie Murphy. Schitt's Creek. She was in another Don't Bleep with some, it was a big, the F word was in it.
Oh, I remember that show. Yeah.
And all I could tell you is this, Annie Murphy is great. And the first, it's like a Twilight Zone in the tech era kind of show. And it's done by an English guy, Charlie Brooker, phenomenal showrunner. And he writes most of the episodes. That first episode is so mind-boggling because Annie Murphy starts it, and then suddenly she's played by Selma Hayek. Okay. Selma Hayek shows up in it. John Cera shows up in it. Michael Cera. They're all over the place. It is great. It is a mind bend like nothing you'll ever see. I didn't watch any other episodes because I saved them for special moments. Black Mirror is a great TV series, and it's out now with 5 new episodes on Netflix. I can't recommend it. Well, I can recommend it just under Wentworth. And then just to update you on 2 others, Crowded Room is holding up on Apple Plus. I'm watching that, and also on Apple Plus, Platonic. It's also staying great. So far, so good.
Great. I want to say, by the way, the Ringer this week had an article about a show we want to talk about, follow-up on The Idol. The headline of the article was, has anybody who has written on The Idol ever had sex with a real person?
The Idol is one of the worst things I've ever seen. Oh, one other thing, Jay.
Yes.
This is going to excite people because we come out at midnight, Wednesday night, Thursday morning. The Bear season 2 is now available on Hulu. And that's another reason why Rhea will never watch Wentworth. She's going to start on The Bear. I'm never going to win with this.
Two things about The Bear season 2. All 10 episodes are releasing tomorrow. They're not going.
No.
So you'll be able to binge over the weekend. And
I'll get to Wentworth like next weekend.
Number 2, Seppenwall.
I knew it.
The Rolling Stone TV critic says it's better than season 1.
Wow. Oh, I don't know how that's possible.
I don't know how it's possible either, but I'm excited for it.
By the way, guys, just to let you know, I have made the chocolate cake from The Bear.
Well, how come we didn't get invited over?
I will tell you this. I will make it. We'll get together soon. But I made it. Everybody loved it. I made it the exact, and it was not easy. It's a triple layer cake. Wow. Phenomenal.
Can't wait. Well, you got to invite us over, and we'll do a live Wentworth season 2 watch. While we eat chocolate cake.
There you go.
I just want to do a quick retro review. I've talked about the middle on this show before, but I've just completed a rewatch of it because my daughters have fallen in love with it. It is a show much like a lot of shows that fall, and I don't want to, pun intended, in the middle, where they get ratings that they last 8 or 9 years, but they are not phenomenons where they get a lot of attention on it. They're able to fly under the radar. I believe that of shows that have tried to depict what being a middle-class parent is like, The Middle is probably the best depiction, where these are people who struggle financially. These are people who struggle to be good parents and are never quite as good as they want to be. They have kids with realistic problems. Patricia Heaton, who you may know from Ray Romano.
Everybody loves Raymond.
Who I had beef with because I worked on a movie that she rejected all of my suggestions. I have to say, Patricia Heaton, a bold actress willing to make herself unattractive. And I don't just mean physically unattractive, but I mean like she's a mom who's not a very good mom, but she's not a very good mom in a way that none of us are good moms and dads. Yeah. She's never on time. She never has the food ready. She's always half-assing it. And TV moms don't do this. She's willing to dress down both herself emotionally, physically, and mentally to be a realistic character. And I just have to say, having just binged through 9 seasons, if you are looking for a show you can watch with your kids and really enjoy, please, The Middle, which is available on Hulu, is so worth your time. Go check it out.
Jay, based on that, I watched the pilot episode and the final episode in season 9. And never in the history of television has a show been better named than The Middle. It's right in the middle. It's not bad. It doesn't have a fake laugh track and all that stuff. Right. It's good. It's not great. It's good. And I got to admit, I completely ignored it. It's not bad at all.
No.
9 seasons of that. No, I'd rather be in the submergible.
Well, if you have a 7-year-old daughter like I do that will only watch The Middle or the Goldbergs, The Middle is the choice to go with.
It is
an enjoyable show. All right, Angelo, what did we talk about this week?
Wow. We have Dead Loch on Prime. Check it out; it's really good. Black Mirror on Netflix, always great. Crowded Room and Platonic are both on Apple Plus. They're holding up great. The Bear is now, because you're hearing this on Thursday at the earliest, The Bear is available now on Hulu. And please check out Wentworth on Netflix. You will love it. Rhea's going to do it. I know she is.
Louise, I'm coming over. We're watching.
There you go.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, please tell somebody about it. Spread the word. Oh, I got to tell you, I forgot. We cracked the top 50 TV podcasts in the United States.
No.
this week. I got the alert on Sunday.
Yay!
So we're
Wow.
not, it's not Iceland or Ireland or India or any of those high-named countries. This is a real country. No,
Wow.
those are other real countries as well. I'm joking, of course. The United
Yes.
States, guys, we did it. So we are
Nice.
moving up in the world. Things are getting.
Finally.
Tell some friends, though. All right, gang. We'll see you next week.
See it.